Revealing the hidden watermark in my own presentation was the only way to prove my manager was a fraud. Steve was a classic legacy hire, a project manager who spent more time working on his golf handicap than his deliverables. He viewed my technical skills as a ladder for his own advancement, and he truly believed I was too corporate compliant to stand up for myself when he decided to hijack my 6-month supply chain project. I had developed a proprietary algorithm that predicted logistics disruptions weeks in advance. For a company our size, that code was worth at least $500,000 a year in saved shipping costs. I'd worked 80-hour weeks to get the data models perfect, but on Friday afternoon, Steve called me into his office with a friendly request. He asked for the final source files so he could standardize the formatting for his presentation to the executive board on Monday morning. I'd seen Steve do this before. He was a credit stealer who would strip the names off of every junior analyst's work just to secure himself a director-level promotion and a massive performance bonus. But this time, I was ready for him. Instead of handing over a clean file, I went into the back-end architecture of the dashboard and embedded a malicious compliance failsafe. I hid a security toggle inside a single, unlabeled pixel in the bottom left corner of the main graph. If that specific pixel was clicked, the entire interface would bypass the front-end display and reveal the raw metadata, displaying my employee ID, my original timestamps, and a bright red SOC2 warning that the work was intellectual property that had been accessed without authorization. Monday morning, the boardroom was packed with the company's most powerful people, including the CEO and the CFO. Steve stood at the front of the room, looking like $1 million in a new Armani suit. He spent 45 minutes shamelessly explaining his revolutionary process and how he had overcome every technical hurdle in the data modeling. He was halfway through a lie about how he'd personally optimized the latency issues when the CEO, who actually has a background in engineering, asked a very specific question about the source logs. Steve froze. He didn't have the technical knowledge to even understand the question, so he tried to fake it by clicking around the dashboard to look like he was pulling up the answer. In his panic, his mouse drifted to the bottom left corner. He clicked the pixel. The room went dead silent as the Steve Reed presentation vanished instantly. In its place, the screen began flashing a high-contrast diagnostic mode. A massive, bold text appeared over his head that read, "Proprietary work of senior analyst. Unauthorized user detected." The metadata log scrolled down the screen like a waterfall, showing that Steve had only opened the file for the first time 3 days prior. Steve turned a shade of white I didn't know was humanly possible. He tried to claim it was a cybersecurity glitch or a virus, but the damage was done. I stood up from the back of the room, walked to the head of the table, and handed the CEO a folder containing my original time-stamped project logs and the IP filing I had quietly made with HR on Friday morning. Steve didn't just lose the director promotion. He was escorted out of the building by security 10 minutes later for ethical misconduct and theft of company IP. The firm fired him for cause, which meant they were able to claw back his entire unvested stock portfolio to pay for the internal investigation. I was moved into his old office with a lead analyst title and the 20% raise he had been trying to steal. Steve finally learned the hard way that there are some very expensive consequences for